Good morning. This is the Shade Tree Mechanic. I am your host, Adam, back with a second part for deck adjustment. Rake pitch is the subject, and I did just get done adjusting the deck, and I also lowered the scalping wheels just a little bit so that they were actually riding just below the deck, because before they were above the bottom of the deck's lip, and that's not where they should actually be riding if you want to have them be useful for you. They could have actually gone a setting or two lower than what I put them. I put them on the middle setting, but they are riding just below the deck surface, which is usually about normal for what you want for the scalping wheels setting to be. And I wanted to show you guys, I just got done after doing the adjustment, running the mower on my property here out in the backyard, and I wanted to show you the difference between the two mowings. So the first time that I mowed out here with this thing to test it out to see what it was doing to my lawn and seeing if it was appropriate for all the settings as far as deck adjustment and blade synchronization, so on and so forth. I wanted to see what the difference was between the first mowing and the second mowing, and you're going to see a big difference between the two. So I'm going to turn the camera around so I can show you why what I was talking about is so very important, especially when you're talking about dealing with lawns in hotter parts of the country. Not necessarily in the springtime when it's nice and cool, although there are some places that see 90 to 100 degree weather early February, March. I used to live in one of those places, but I want to show you guys why this is so important. So I'm going to turn the video around so you guys can see what I've done, and you're going to see a clear difference between the first few passes that I did the other day, which I did go back over, by the way, and all that's going to do is show you exactly what I was talking about, the reason why this is so important and the difference in coloration of the lawn. So without further delay, I'll turn this around. So as you can see, there is a big difference here between the first couple of passes that I did the other day and the passes I just did. And it's not just a gauge of how healthy your lawn is, but how healthy your lawn will be if you mow with the proper deck settings. So you can see here that there's a big coloration difference here, okay? So these first couple of passes, you can see that the ground, where the grass is, the grass looks brown, the ground looks brown, and it looks dry, and it doesn't look healthy. And then you go over here, and you can see the coloration gets different. It gets a darker green, it looks a lot more healthy, even after a fresh cut. And, you can see that there is a big difference between the two. Those outer passes that I did with the John Deere before the adjustment, that grass is going to take a long time to recover. And it's going to take a long time for that green, healthy color to come back. So you can do some due diligence by, getting some weed and feed or some out and out fertilizer to try to help that out. Maybe stick a sprinkler out here or something like that. Make sure that if you're doing watering during the day, it's not going to be during the afternoon, which is the hottest part of the day. And because if you do that, the leaves on the grass blades, they are just as vulnerable to UV light as we are, and they will sunburn, so you don't want that. So your best idea for watering your lawn is going to be early morning and middle to late evening. And just make sure that you're not scorching your lawn further. So if you do find yourself with a deck issue where you've scorched your lawn or you've scalped it, you know, there are some recovery methods that you can do to get that back. It's not a complete and utter failure or loss if you do your due diligence and found yourself having to deal with that. Now, I will say, other than the adjustments that I made on the deck, on the adjuster rods, you can also just go ahead and raise your deck level. If your deck lift lever is working properly, you can make that adjustment manually with that. If you don't have time for whatever reason to go ahead and do the adjustments on the rods. But overall, you want to go ahead and make sure that your rods are adjusted. And that's something that you should check fairly often. I would say you should do it at least once a year if you're just using it for your private purposes, like I am here on my property with my personal mower. But with a mower I'm getting ready for a customer, I want to make sure that those adjustments are proper. But if you are doing it commercially, you're going to want to check that adjustment probably once a week, because those nuts do not stay tight. They will move. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you're doing that. Now I'm going to get back over here to where the mower is, but I'm going to show you, as you can see here, there's still a visible difference between the outer passes that I did, which was 2 or 3 the other day, and the inner passes here. You can see the grass is just a lot healthier, and this is prairie grass, so I mean it does get thick as far as the shaft goes, and it does get a little difficult for some mowers to handle, but this one handled it beautifully. And you can see over here, I've got some mixture of some different grass over here, and you can see big difference here. You know, these are the fresh passes that I just did after the adjustment, and the lawn still looks nice and healthy. I haven't finished the lawn because I am going to be doing another video, so I wanted to have some lawn left to mow. So I do have some long grass still, but I want to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to pause here and get the mower back to where I had it. Alright, so I am back now, and I got the mower back where I had it for the previous shot to show you guys. So let's take a look and see how it looks now versus how it did look in the previous video. So you can see a big difference now on this particular setting here. I could drop the left-hand side, which is actually the right-hand side of the mower, but left-hand side for the video purposes, just a little more, and even that deck up just a little bit more. But right now it's actually fairly even. It's got a pretty even cut, so I'm pretty happy with that. And despite the fact that the blades are not sharp, they actually did cut the lawn rather well. So I mean, they seem to be nice and in sync, so I don't have to worry about that too much. But you can see that there's a big difference here in the rake, and you can see that the scalping wheels are now below the deck line, which is where you want them. So you can see those scalping wheels is below the deck line. They are in the same position as each other, so, and that's what you want. You want to make sure that you put them in the same position. But you can see how nicely that's riding up now. Now this particular setting is all the way up, like I said, so this is just for illustration purposes. Most people will not be cutting their lawn at the highest setting, unless of course they want to be doing it multiple times a week. And you can really see the difference here. Zoom out just a hair. So you can see right here that the deck is now nowhere near as pitched forward as it once was. So the rake is significantly less. There is still a pitch there, and that is exactly what you want. You want to have a slight pitch there so that you don't put strain on the motor and the transmission when you're going through and doing your lawn cuts. So you want to make sure that your deck is pitched, but not too pitched. You want it pitched just enough. to make sure that you're taking that stress off of those things. Okay. The tire has been aired up, so everything is appropriate as far as how the deck was adjusted and everything. I did that first. The very first adjustment that I made was right there on the front adjustment rod, and all I did was turn it probably 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little over that, so maybe about 1/3. So I lifted it a little bit, not a huge amount, but it should be just enough to make sure that for uneven terrain purposes and things of that nature, I'm not going to be running into anything solid and doing damage to the mower by hitting something with the deck. That's not what I want to do. That's the last thing I want to do, actually. I don't know why the scalping wheels were where they were. I don't know why they would do that. I don't really know if that came that way from John Deere. It might have. They might have had something in the manual saying adjust scalping wheels to suit your property's needs. You know, that's not uncommon for some dealers and manufacturers to do. So the best thing to do, I'm going to say, is if you're going to buy a brand new mower, you know, check your manual. Just do a cursory over the basics and see what recommendations they have before starting anything. There is approximately 517 hours on this mower, and like I said before in another video, the oil looked like it was really good. The engine sounded really nice. This is a 21 horsepower Briggs & Stratton, and everything on this is nice and clean. The filter was nice and clean. There was no problems with that to speak of, and the only problem I really had was inside the engine compartment here, was with the battery terminals being dirty and causing an electrical issue where the engine did not want to start because there was no contact being made between the terminals and the connecting cables. So, you know, that's definitely something you want to make sure you're checking out. But anyways, again, the next thing that I did after adjusting that front rod was just come over here and adjust these verticals right here. And this one I adjusted up as much as I possibly could. I will tell you, in the two adjustments, the variation between the two, adjusting up is a little bit harder than adjusting down. So that is something to keep in mind. If you want to just do one side, it would be easier, if you can do it, to just go ahead and do the lowering section. The side that needs to be lowered, to do that and just let it go at that. That being said, this rider is just about ready to go. The only thing I have left, of course, is going to be sliming the wheels, and I can walk you through that procedure on another video. I'm not going to do that right now, and taking the blades off and sharpening them. And I will spend probably a video doing a sharpening tutorial. Everyone's got their own idea of how to do a sharpening on these blades. Some of them are better than others. I will tell you, I had to do a little bit of a learning curve myself when I started doing this. I would get the blade very sharp, but I was actually doing it wrong, and I can explain that. It's not something that's uncommon for someone to do. But it was a little bit of a learning curve. I had to actually do a little bit more research to find out that I was doing it wrong. So I like to admit when I'm not correct on something. I want to make sure that I do provide correct information when doing these videos. So that's something I will pass along to you so that you don't make the same mistake that I did. So anyways, that's how these adjustments worked. That's what the lawn looked like after doing those adjustments and before. And you hopefully can see the difference in the video. And I just want to, again, reiterate that if you found this information helpful or useful, or found something out that you didn't know before, you know, please like and share the video. And definitely, if there's something that I missed, leave me a comment. I'd be happy to get back with you. This is Adam, the Shade Tree Mechanic, Texas Edition. Thank you for watching.